and the distribution of the vaccine worldwide amid questions about the viability of Chinese and Russian versions of the vaccine, and the continual development of new strains of the virus. Again, from Araderna, watch this news update on COVID.
Brazil's COVID-stricken Amazonas state was in desperate need of oxygen as global fears grew of a new Brazilian variant of the virus. Brazilian health minister said the hospital system in the city of as people on respirators were dying of suffocation in hospitals.
Oxygen supplies are flown to the coronavirus-hit Amazonas state by the Brazilian army, as fears grew worldwide on Friday over a new Brazilian variant of the disease, which researchers say could be contributing to a sharp rise in cases there. Nearly 6,000 people have died in Amazonas from COVID-19, and it's now in the grip of a devastating second wave. Scientists are trying to work out whether this variant is more contagious than earlier ones, but there are signs it is spreading overseas. That concern led Britain to ban travellers from Brazil and other South American countries as a result, as well as banning Portugal, which has close ties to Brazil, after Japan said it had detected the Brazilian variant in 4 travellers from Amazonas. Amazonas extended its urgent call for oxygen to the United States, as hospitals in the capital, Manaus, neared breaking point. Scores of patients are being airlifted from Manaus, an isolated city deep in the Amazon rainforest, to other states. The variant found in Brazil has 12 mutations, including one also found in the highly contagious variants discovered in Britain and South Africa. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro has been lambasted for downplaying the severity of Brazil's outbreak, though it's the world's second deadliest. As pressure mounts on the country to get vaccinations underway, he cast doubt on the shot's efficacy on Thursday. As a leader, I wouldn't force you to take it, he says, adding that it isn't, quote, scientifically proven. Brazil plans to start inoculations in the middle of next week.
As the vaccine rollouts have begun in most of the countries, people are still concerned on where the vaccines have been received from. A level of skepticism is still arising for Russian and Chinese vaccines.
It's been found that people across the world are likely to say yes to getting a COVID-19 vaccine, but trust levels vary when it comes to where it's been developed. An international survey of nearly 19,000 people conducted by the polling company YouGov found that the public became more wary of shots made in China or Russia than those developed in Germany or the United States. The overall results were shared and showed that 73% of Britons and 70% of Danes were the most willing to take the COVID-19 vaccine when it becomes available to them. Conversely, more than a third of people surveyed in Poland and almost half of those in France, 37% and 48% respectively, said that they would say no to the shot if offered it. In the United States, just less than half of those polled said they would be willing to have the vaccine. The survey also asked about views on compulsory vaccines, a policy being discussed by some governments to boost the population's immunity. It was most popular in India at 77%, but only backed by 29% of Americans. Previous studies have found that conspiracy theories and misinformation fuels mistrust and raises concerns of not enough overall uptake to fully protect communities from the disease. Friday's YouGov poll found that despite many who said that they would not take the COVID-19 vaccine now, most gave their reason as preferring to wait and see, showing that relatively few were driven by entrenched anti-vaxxer views.
Several EU countries are receiving significantly fewer doses of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine than expected. A global vaccine rollout suffered a major blow as Pfizer said it would delay shipments of the jabs in the next 3 or 4 weeks due to works at the key plant in Belgium.
Just when Europe needs it most, Pfizer puts a partial brake on the continent's vaccination rollout. The company announced shipments to all European countries will decrease significantly for several weeks in order to step up output throughout the rest of the year. The pharmaceutical giant hopes to increase overall production of its vaccination to 2 billion doses in 2021. a goal which will require the company to upgrade its manufacturing process to meet higher demand. The president of the European Commission insisted Pfizer will make up for the delays by the month of March.
I immediately called the CEO of Pfizer, and he explained that there is a production delay in the next weeks, but he reassured me that all guaranteed doses of the first quarter will be delivered in the first quarter.
But a handful of EU countries are not convinced. In a letter to the European Commission Friday, health ministers from Sweden, Denmark, Finland and the Baltic nations expressed, quote, severe concern over the delays, warning they risk decreasing the credibility of the continent's vaccination process. Friday's announcement comes as several nations battle soaring fatalities and infections, alongside alarm over more contagious COVID-19 variants, first identified in the United Kingdom and South Africa.
Amazon was slapped with a class action lawsuit accusing the e-commerce giant of inflating the prices of ebooks in collusion with some publishers. The lawsuit, filed in a New York district court, alleges that Amazon and the so-called Big Five publishers agreed to price restraints that cause consumers to overpay for ebooks bought through other retail platforms.
Amazon faces a class action suit over ebook pricing. The e-commerce giant is accused of inflating prices in collusion with the 5 largest publishers in the US. The firms allegedly agreed to price restraints on ebooks purchased from them through a retail platform other than Amazon. That may have left consumers overpaying. Earlier this week, the state of Connecticut said it was investigating Amazon for potential anti-competitive behaviour in digital books. There was no comment on the latest reports from the online retailer. According to the lawsuit, about 90% of ebooks are sold through Amazon. The action has been brought by law firm Hagens Berman. Back in 2011, it filed a similar suit against Apple and the so-called Big Five publishers.
India's 1.3 billion people are the second hardest hit in the entire world behind the United States. India has 4 of its own vaccines it's distributing, as well as the vaccines from China, Russia, and the vaccines coming from America and England. India has one of the most diverse arrays of vaccines available, and they are doing one of the most energetic efforts to get all of their citizens vaccinated in the world. Congratulations, India. I hope everybody learns a lesson from you. Now, in terms of outcomes, the world is watching the United States. The inauguration, which is happening this week, is very much different than any inauguration in history. Despite aggressively shutting down all online misinformation sources, there remains a call for civil war in America. QAnon, one of the biggest misinformation spreaders on the internet, which has lost all credibility in the US since the events last Wednesday at the nation's capital, is turning to the ruse of world domination, nuclear holocaust, and the new convoluted conspiracies about China, Russia, and North Korea, and something called the rods of death. It appears that the less education a person has, the more influence these misinformation campaigns have. Every day for the last 52 years, I have taught students. I introduce facts, give them knowledge, explore philosophies, and show them the inspirational great works of human beings across history. The light inside of the eyes of students turns on at different times, and the ones which are the slowest, often, once illuminated, burn brightest with the excitement of knowing. Each and every one of you either was or are a student. Your teachers give you information and facts. They challenge you with profound literary works and new techniques for doing and making things. Each of you has taken what you've learned and made life decisions based on it. You examined the world around you, you dived deeply into your own identity and found exactly what your place in this world is. We have all faced successes and failures. Oh, we enjoy the successes, but far more importantly, we learn from our failures. Do not be afraid to try, because to fail is to learn, not the end of the road. Use your knowledge, increase it, and protect yourself against misinformation campaigns. But there's something besides knowledge that protects us even more. An old woman once said to me, "Love is God's sword. It can conquer anything. God and the devil in a battle, God's love wins every time." The sword of love is inside of each of us. We are given education, a mind, society, and economics, and those cards are not dealt evenly to us. But we must each play the hand we are dealt. However, each one of us is given an equal amount of love, and that amount is infinite. You can take it from me. One can have many children and love them all equally and have room for more. It is our love of each other, of nature, of our very souls and ourselves that will save us in these challenging times. And when you love, love without a budget, love without restraint. The greatest thing about love is that the more you give it away, the more you have in you. And the outcomes we worry so much about, well, each one of you can guarantee the outcome will be a bit better by giving all the love you have and more. Back to you, Lamgani.